When you think of war, what comes to mind? Probably soldiers, tanks, maybe fighter jets. But what if the most powerful weapon in any conflict isn't a bomb, but an idea? What if you could win a war before a single shot is even fired? Well, that's where we're going today, into the fascinating and honestly pretty unsettling world of psychological warfare. And that question right there is the whole key. The answer? You shift the fight away from the physical battlefield and onto the most important territory there is, the human mind. It's all about getting inside your opponent's head, targeting their thoughts, their feelings, and their will to even keep going. And believe me, this game is as old as time. So, this whole idea of playing mind games with your enemy, yeah, that's nothing new. It is a tactic as old as conflict itself. Some of the biggest empires in history, they weren't just about having the strongest armies. Nope. They were absolute masters of using fear and belief as weapons. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples here, and they are brilliant but also pretty ruthless. Take the Persians. They didn't need stronger armor, they literally used the Egyptians' own deep religious beliefs against them. They put cats and other sacred animals on the front lines. I mean, what do? It was a genius move that just stopped the Egyptians in their tracks. And then you have the Mongols. They figured out that a reputation for being unstoppable was even better than actually being unstoppable. They turned stories, literal rumors, into weapons, terrifying entire cities into surrendering just to avoid the fight. So, whether it's sacred cats or terrifying legends, you can see the basic idea is the same. But how did we get from there to the super systematic methods we see today? Well, that takes us right into the modern tactics of deception. All right, so the first big bucket of modern psychological tactics is all about deception. The thinking is, if you can control what someone believes is true, you can control what they do. And we're not just talking about telling a few lies. We're talking about completely rewriting reality for your opponent. And of course, the big one here is propaganda. We've all heard the word, but the key thing you gotta remember is that it's systematic. This isn't just random fake news. It's a calculated, all-out campaign. The goal is to paint a very specific picture, make your side look like heroes and the other side seem like monsters. It's about building an emotional world that feels more real than actual hard facts. Now think of it this way. If propaganda is a sledgehammer that you use on a whole country, then gaslighting is like a surgeon's scalpel. It is way more personal, way more insidious. This isn't about changing the minds of the masses. It's about making one person or a small group start to believe that they can't trust their own mind anymore. It's literally an attack on their reality. And the way it works is, well, it's chillingly methodical. First, you plant those little seeds of doubt. Are you sure that's how it happened? I think you're misremembering. Then, you move on to just flat-out denial. That never happened. You're just making that up. And finally, this is the kill shot. You cut them off from their friends, their family, anyone who might say, no, you're right, I remember that too. And what's the end game? To make the target so unsure of themselves that they have to rely on you to tell them what's real. It's twisted. Okay, so deception is one thing, but what if you don't even need to lie? What if you can just break someone's spirit? That brings us to our second category, the tactics of demoralization. The goal here isn't to trick the mind, it's to completely crush the will to fight. This gets called an ego down strategy. Think of it like a war of attrition, but for the soul. You're just constantly chipping away at someone. You belittle them, you only point out their failures, you make everything seem completely hopeless. Just picture this. You're a negotiator, and every single time you speak, you're told your ideas are dumb, that you're naive, that any past success you had was just a fluke. After a while, you start to believe it. Your confidence just shatters. It creates this sense of learned helplessness, where eventually you just give up because you truly believe nothing you do will ever matter. So we've talked about propaganda, gaslighting, these ego-down strategies, and I know this all might sound like stuff straight out of a spy movie or a history textbook. But here's the really chilling part. These tactics are no longer contained to battlefields or interrogation rooms. Because that old battlefield, it's not some far-off place anymore. The battlefield is now everywhere. Think about it. You see these exact same principles in advertising that's designed to make you feel like you're not good enough, in political ads that try to demonize the other side, in the comment section on social media, and yeah, sometimes even in our own relationships. The rulebook for manipulating a nation is shockingly similar to the one for manipulating a person. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's awareness. Look, learning this stuff isn't about becoming a master manipulator yourself. No way. It's about spotting it. It's about building a defense against it. So I'll just leave you with this question. Now that you know the patterns, now that you've seen the playbook, where are you going to see it next? In the news? In an ad you watch? Or maybe in a conversation you have tomorrow? The game is always being played. The difference is now you know the rules.